Oh, welcome to Retrotainment. Back here with my co-host, capital C, capital O. Greg, how are you doing, buddy?
What's happening, homie?
Nothing much, nothing much. We're continuing on with our creature feature February.
That name
Something,
works so well, doesn't it?
yeah, most people would go with,
Rom-com.
like romantic films, but we are like, no, we'll go with something close to our heart. So creature
Creature
features is a
feature
big one for you.
definitely is probably my favorite type of horror.
Yeah, and well, I mean, my favorite film, like my favorite like horror film is Jaws.
Yeah,
So, unfortunately we've covered Jaws, which you'll see is going to be uploaded again now soon to this
it was,
channel. It was originally on the Dynamo
was it
Podcast Network.
episode three, was it? Or episode two?
It was early, I think it was episode 2, yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, because
ugh.
Karate Kid was one.
Karate Kid was the one to kick us all off, pardon the
Yeah.
pun.
I hadn't arrived at that stage, but
No, you hadn't come in yet, Greg, but
not long after that.
you weren't too long after that. No, obviously for people who can't tell, we are covering Anaconda here today. Not a very well received film.
This
Um,
was one of them big. I think this might have been, apart from Jaws, probably one of the big blockbuster
it was
creature features.
definitely yeah, it was definitely a blockbuster released in April '97, but
Was it
it
90?
did
I don't know what made me think it was 99.
no '97, and it did not appease people. Like I took a quick look at the ratings, and this is one of the few times where the critics is higher than the audience, and the critics is 37%. So audience score is real low, 24.
Woof.
Yeah,
This
I
this is one of the movies that I've said on a few shows. This, along with the likes of Jaws, everything apart from the main feature in this is perfect. Like the
yeah.
background into the Amazon, the story of what they were running.
Yeah, I think everything's really good. The snake, I actually think the two snakes in it, are very well done. To be honest, considering, um,
That was the big throw of this movie. That there was two.
yeah, because like you knew there was one, and that like obviously what I know in Jaws, that it's a shark, right? But like very early on that it's an anaconda, and you know how it's going to kill people because at the start you get that little writing that comes
The
up.
Star Wars style, right in there.
Well, like not exactly Star Wars, but similar. Like it scrolls up and it's like,
Yeah, like the
this is
story,
how,
background story to it.
yeah, like an anaconda kills by crushing its prey and then eating it, and then it doesn't eat for subsistence. It eats to like kill
Survive.
again. So
Yeah.
it'll kill something, eat it, regurgitate it, and kill it so it can kill again.
Yeah, see, I think a lot of the reason that this is rated so badly is because there's a lot of inaccuracies towards
Yeah, there is.
what they
Yeah,
know now. Like everyone knows now that it won't just kill, spit it up just to kill again. It will spit it
no,
up so it can defend itself again.
yeah, true, and maybe that is why people don't like it too much. Box office wise, it didn't do too badly. 136.8 million. So I mean, it's not like it was a flop or anything.
Yeah, well, I know, I've read somewhere that for every second the Anaconda was on the screen, it was something like 100 grand.
Yeah, well, you have to think back.
Yeah,
Like this,
the
if this was
CGI.
released in '97, it's been recorded in about '96.
Yeah,
And like as I said, I think the snake actually looks quite good. And there's a few scenes in this that I actually think really look good.
yeah. There's some
Um,
very good ones now. I know they had to pay out a lot of money. As far as I know, Ice Cube was actually attacked by a snake
oh
while making.
God, that's probably in the part where they had the snakes land on the boat, is it?
No, I don't know. I don't know whether it was in the hotel or wherever they were staying or whatnot. I don't know whether it was
Oh
on
right,
film, but
oh
apparently
right, I
he has
get
a
you.
wicked scar in his leg from being bitten by a snake.
Maybe that's why he was limping in the film. It was a
Could be,
real
yeah.
limp.
Right towards the end, that gets prevalently worse.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it keeps getting
Yeah.
worse and worse. I like, I love the start. Like as we said, the writing comes up, and then we see, Danny Trejo, who you think, first time watching this, you're like, oh,
When
Danny
you
Trejo, like
see
this is
that
gonna be a
name
main
pop
man.
up, yeah, when you see that name pop up, you're like, yeah,
Yeah, and he's
he's in
in
law.
he's in this like when I first saw this, I thought it was like a little hut, but it's not. It's a boat.
Yeah, it's the cabin in the boat. Yeah,
Yeah, I always thought it was a little hut. Now he has all these other animals in with him, but the man is jacked. Like he's young and jacked in this. Like I know everyone remembers him as being like a bit of a head case and a bit of a beast. And like,
Yeah,
he's got his history and everything, but he's a fucking unit in this. I was like, no way this lad's dying that early.
yeah.
And then,
Like this, I think like parts of this movie here, like even now when you see Trejo in there and something's coming and you see him look terrified.
yeah, he does it well.
Then, yeah, oh, he does. Now, don't get me wrong. It's probably one of his better mini performances that you see him doing. But like the snake hitting the bottom of the boat and the boards popping up and all, like,
Yeah,
that's not going to happen.
possibly not, but like these anacondas are not the size of normal anacondas. These things are massive. And it clearly, like, normally they wouldn't be hunting a boat. It's clearly hunting him.
Yeah, so like they say on the back of the box, it's a 40-foot anaconda,
Yeah.
right? They can grow that big in real life, but they're not as big as they would be that they were done in this.
No, yeah, it's Hollywoodized, but like,
Yeah, like
there's
40
also,
foot, like the scene later on that we'll get to where your man's at the waterfall. That's like not 40 foot. That's about 140 foot long.
yeah. And like the thing is that, it's hunting him in that boat.
Yeah,
It's not like it just came across something. Like they do hunt, but not to that extent where they're like trying to break down
doors and windows
doors
and
and
stuff.
things. But I loved, that he climbs up to the very top and it obviously is still chasing him, but you don't
Yeah,
get to see it. Like, you know what it is, but you don't get to see anything of it.
I mean, here, like, there's a part here where he has what 4 shots, I'd say, that he fires.
Yeah.
Right, doesn't even think to turn around and try to hit it.
No, he's too scared. Just
Yeah,
running.
he immediately just puts one to his head, and
Yeah, that's
I
him.
mean, you could fire 3,
Yeah. And
but
then, but
the way the camera pans, it looks like it's the snake's head because it's getting close to his shoulder.
yeah.
But that's the way I always took it. Now I don't know whether that's what they were going with.
Yeah, I don't know. But like he makes like he early on makes it, this is something to be scared of, and
Yeah,
then kills himself before he
yeah,
lets it kill him. And then I like this because it just cut like from here, it just cuts to this nice cheery little like lakeside where everyone's just like, oh, hi, how you doing? And Ice Cube's just standing around Danny, and he gets it. He gets his little line in of what is it? Today was a good day. I liked that now because obviously that's one of his biggest hits.
from NWA.
No,
Oh
it's
no, sorry, wait, Ice Cube, yeah,
Ice Cube when he left NWA. Yeah, that was one of his
yeah,
big hits. Was Today Was a Good Day. Well, it's not called Today Was a Good Day, but like that's what it's mainly known as. It's just called It Was a Good Day.
yeah.
But I love that, and then you get to meet the rest of the crew. Like,
Yeah, I love like the likes of Eric Stoltz coming into this was
yeah,
something different. Like, but there is a part that we actually missed there where you see the snake in the jungle and you just see body taking out the panther.
that's actually that's a bit later, isn't it? That's after they
Oh,
set sail.
oh, is it?
Yeah, it's after they
Oh,
set
sorry,
sail
yeah,
the
it
first
is.
time.
As soon
Yeah,
as they run out, and then it goes to that.
yeah. But
Uh,
I love this. Like, you get to meet the characters. So you've got like your captain Kale, who kind of like clearly him and
Mateo.
no, and Mateo's the driver. Kale is like
Yeah.
the captain. Then you've got like Terry, who is Jennifer Lopez, who's the worst thing about the film. Like, easily the worst thing. Her acting is
That says there's a CGI snake in this, and she's
yeah,
the worst thing about
her
it.
her acting in this is terrible. Like, God, it's awful.
Yeah.
But like clear from early on, you learn that her and Kale have been an item at some point,
They
and
still
then
are.
yeah, but then Westridge comes in, and I love Westridge. He comes in and he's like, "Take my bags up there," and Denise is like, "I'm not your slave." So he tells
Mateo.
yeah, he says it to he says it to Gary, and Gary's like, "No." And he's just like, I love how much of a dick he is. And then you see why he's brought, because when they're recording as they go along on the lake and you hear
Yeah.
his voiceover work, you're like, I see why people put up with this lad as such a dick, because that voiceover work is unreal.
You are David Attenborough, sir.
Yeah, like he's really good at it. And I was like, holy shit, this is solid stuff.
Yeah, like the premise of this movie is a film crew going down the Amazon looking for
At the Shirashima tribe.
the Shirishama tribe, yeah, who are obviously
They're,
indigenous tribe.
Yeah, they're like this ghost tribe that like nobody's ever been able to find or like get in contact with at all.
Which would tell me that they're headhunters.
Who are headhunters?
The Shirishama.
No, they could just be people that just keep to themselves. They just have no interest in showing themselves. Yeah,
there's
like
none of them. Any movie that tells us ever, there's none of them.
Yeah, well, this one seems to be the case because nothing seems to happen when they do eat them eventually. But I love that Mateo at the start, even from the start, Mateo's like kind of dictates the route they should take. Because Kale's like, why don't we just go here? And he's like, no, we need to take this route. It's an extra long route, but I'm not going with you if you go on the other one because that's not safe.
Yeah, he says it's flooded, and then
and you trust him because you're like, well, he's the guy from around here who knows the lakes or like knows the river. So yeah, we'll trust what he says.
I imagine there's no safe route on that river.
No, but like there's the safer route and the more dangerous.
Yeah.
I think that like at the time you're like, yeah, this is legit. But as the film goes on, you're like, I think he was bullshitting them. I think they probably would have been safer taking the other route.
I'd say I obviously haven't seen the film a million times. You know that he's obviously got the call.
Yeah, I always try and base it off like the way it was when I first watched it, but that's hard to remember because it's so long ago.
Yeah.
But I love they're going down and it's like lashing rain and they come across this broken down boat.
I mean, it is teeming down.
Yeah, this is when we beat Paul Cerrone on his boat and he like throws the stuff over and he jumps onto the boat and he's like, sorry, stuff got stuck in the rudder. And from here, you can see a little look between him and Mateo early on. And I thought there was maybe, when I first saw this, I remember thinking, Mateo doesn't like him. There's something, they don't trust each other. But it's obviously, as we learn, a little bit different.
It's the real nod, isn't it?
Yeah. So like, they go and get him. And this is when we see, he tells them, oh yeah, I can show you where to meet the Shirishama tribe. And then we see the panther getting killed by the snake.
Like I did, essentially in South American folklore, the panther is the king of the jungle, really.
Yeah, which is what they obviously were going for. They were like, this shows that it's not in these parts.
For me, that is the ultimate hunting machine.
I think crocodile probably is.
Well, no, they've been known to kill crocodile or caiman and whatnot.
Yeah, they could, but like crocodiles are the ultimate killing machine. Like they haven't changed or evolved in like.
But I think it's more so because theoretically you could get away from a crocodile by coming onto land, essentially. Do you know what I mean?
To an extent, but I mean,
they won't track you for miles on land.
No, yeah, like it's a better hunting machine, but like not a killing machine. I think.
Oh, killing machine! No, the crocodile's the ultimate killing machine, but like they're the apex predator, really.
Yeah.
You could be on land, they come from a tree. You could be in a tree, they wait.
Yeah, I like that. They kind of trust. They trust your man Paul. Like, okay, he tells them quite early on that he basically hunts snakes. Yeah. Like, he doesn't hide that at all. He's just like, oh, I hunt snakes.
Yeah.
And they trust him from early on when he brings them down to like where they see the totem poles, and he's like, oh yeah, they worship snakes, and he tells them this spiel, and Kale's like, yeah, I've heard that before.
Sorry.
Yeah, but he starts telling the spiel of, like, oh, you go to the waterfall and then you get past this, and then Kale finishes it off and he's like, that's not their story. That's the story of a different tribe. And Paul is just like, theirs as well. He's like, yeah, well, it's theirs as well. Clearly just didn't think that these people were going to know as much as they did.
Yeah, well, Kale definitely does his homework on everything, doesn't he?
Yeah, and that, like, they get into it here because Cerrone says, like, let's go down this way. And Kale goes, well, you might hunt snakes, but what I do is, like, I find tribes. And he's like, if we go that way, that's where the river flows to. So that's where it'll get flooded. So if they were to be anywhere, they're going to be over there so that they can come down here when it does flood to fish. And he goes the opposite way. And you can see from here that Cerrone is not happy with being, made second fiddle at all. Like,
I love this story when he's telling, he's like, oh, there's snakes that eat people. And he's like, there's snakes out here that big. And he's like, and there's a big scar down the side of his face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ice Cube wants to go home then.
Yeah, Ice Cube's having none of it. He's like, I thought we were out here with this. I don't want any bloody snakes around here.
Well, like, let's be fair, if you're a documentary crew, even if you're going to the thing, you know what's around that area.
Yeah. I think it's kind of funny here because they obviously pull in and they're kind of on land. And we've obviously seen the snake hunt a little bit before this. And this is when Gary and Denise are like, we're going to go record some like audio footage in the jungle.
They're going to go record, all right.
Yeah. And everyone's like, yeah, all right. So they go off and, it's weird because you can hear all the jungle sounds and then it goes dead silent.
That's one thing I love about this, because obviously they say when there's a predator around,
the animals go dead silent. Yeah. So I loved that it went dead silent, and like you obviously think it's going to be the anaconda.
Yeah.
And then you don't see what it is, but you see them just running.
You hear the sound.
You hear a sound of something like coming through the grass, and then they just sprint away. And I love Paul Paul Serone just pops up straight over, like straight between the two of them, and kills whatever it is.
He's like, I hit him right between the eye.
Yeah, I love that everyone gets up here though, because they all hear the gunshot and they're all like, "What the fuck was that?" And they walk out, and Serone walks in with the
bar.
Like he walks in with the gun over his shoulder, and he's like, "I got it." And then Gary's like, "It was a great shot. Like it was chasing after us." And he's like, "You're kind of thinking, oh, he's killed the snake." And then he drags it in, and he's like, "It's a boar. Come on, Mateo, let's cut this up. That's dinner for the next few days."
I love that. And they're like, the tusks, they go for the eyes.
Yeah.
They probably most definitely don't go for the eyes.
No, they just fucking gore whatever's in front of them. Legs.
They are so angry.
Yeah, and like that, like this is where they are, right? Like if you are out there, that boar is just gonna skewer you. It doesn't care.
He doesn't care, yeah. When we were in Turkey, we went on a jeep safari and we seen boars on the beach.
Yeah, stay away from them bad boys.
No, they kind of ran because obviously the noise of the safari, the quad, but
yeah, but you stay away from them bad boys. You do not want to be getting chased down by one of them.
Fuck it, I got it to 88.
Yeah, but like they get going again here, and they're like, right, no more going off on land on your own.
Yeah, good, well, that was stupid anyway.
Always a bad idea to go off into the jungle on your own.
Like that was set up to be the first death.
Oh yeah, you were convinced somebody was dying here. Yeah,
and you would, especially because obviously everyone knows the horror rules. You have sex, you're gonna die.
Yeah,
don't quite get to that, but
yeah, but like it's the main horror rule is if you go off on your own, like even if it's just two of you, somebody's dying.
Yeah,
and then like obviously you see Serone pop up with the gun, and you're like, oh, is he going to be the one to kill someone? And then he doesn't.
Kicking people off,
yeah. Then he doesn't. And you're like, okay, so nobody died. Okay, let's see how this goes. And you're getting a good bit into the fit. Like you're about 25, 30 minutes into the film now, and nobody's been killed. This is where we get the first near death though, when the boat gets stuck, the propeller gets stuck, like gets caught up with the rope.
This is part number 2, really, isn't it? Where they fucking fake you out.
Yeah, and they're like, okay, Serone is like, there's more than just what's in the water that can kill you. But Cale is like, no, I'm experienced. I know what I'm doing. So he jumps in, and it has the wetsuit and the mask and all on, so that he can, the breathing apparatus, like the diving materials.
Everything's there. Do you know how much chance you'd have of getting me in that water?
0.
Yeah, I will stay on the boat until someone comes.
Yeah. I think I'd just be like, I'd probably just cut that rope. Forget about keeping it. I'd even just cut that rope off and just.
There's piranha in there. There's caiman in there. There's electric eels in there.
There's a big old fucking snake in there. Yeah, I would not be getting in. But I like that he jumps in, and it, you like the camera pans in on him from behind, and you're just like, okay, here's the snake. Here's the snake. Here's the snake.
It's exactly the same kind of way they done with Danny Trejo.
Yeah. Now, do you remember when you first watched this? Do you know when he starts panicking underwater?
Yes, like, vaguely.
I remember him he panics underwater, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, because I was like, am I missing something? Like, have they just cut, like, nothing's attacked him? What's going on?
I originally thought it was a piranha attack.
Yeah, but you don't see anything around him. So I was like, there's like nothing around him. I was like, I remember being really confused. And then they all jump in and get him back on the boat. And
they were very, very quick to jump in there.
I mean, they're obviously all friends. Like, I suppose you do take that risk, but
I get that. But you've just seen him. you know what's in that water, and you've just seen him
Yeah, I suppose
panicking. That could have been a crocodile attack or anything.
yeah, I guess
Lack of
it's
blood. But
lack of blood and the fact that his body just floated up like itself.
yeah,
You're kind of like, right, whatever it was, we can get it. But they get him back on the boat, and like
they do
then
the camera angle again here where they could bring it back under.
yeah, but then they
Yeah,
open his mouth, and Jesus, when they did that, I was like, oh, the wasp in his mouth. I was like, oh,
yeah,
imagine
yeah.
like
Desert
fucking
wasp. Yeah,
yeah. And Mateo's like, this thing, like it's a poisonous wasp. This thing, like
it's a tarantula hawk, is what it is.
yeah, and he's like, this is gonna like this will kill him, poisonous. Like he's dead.
Do you ever question how he got that in his mouth?
No, not when I first watched it. I was like, oh, it must have been like sucked up through the tank. But like as you've watched it, you learn that you learn that Paul Cerrone puts it in to his into his oxygen tank or something, and that's how it gets in.
I think he puts it into the regulator. Yeah.
Yeah, it's within the tank somewhere, like him or Mateo.
Yeah. Well,
most likely Cerrone.
Someone has.
I think it's most likely Cerrone because I don't see why Mateo would have had a better opportunity to do it, but Cerrone seems to be the like leader in that duo.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but like, it's never really explained.
No, well, like Cerrone admits that it was him at some point.
Yeah,
when they have him tied up, he's like, "Oh, are you wondering about the wasp?" Like he insinuates that it was him.
Yeah.
But he performs like a tracheotomy to save his life, and you're just like, oh, I swear, like, and it's a good thing he's there because if he isn't, the Kale is dead. Like,
let me die. I am not having someone stick a pen into my neck.
Yeah, well, I suppose he didn't know. He's fucking out cold.
Dead. He's basically dead.
Yeah, but like he revives them, and he's like, the only way to get back is up the way I originally wanted to go, because otherwise it's going to take too long, and he's going to die if you don't get him to a hospital. And they're like, none of them trust Cerrone. They're all like, you seem to just be getting your way now that this has happened, but we also kind of need to get him to a hospital. They're like, we better just trust him. So they go up the way that he wants, and then we come across this big blockade in the water, and you're like, now, why is that there?
Also, option number 1, get in the water and blow it up. No, thank you.
Yeah, but like, you have to question, why is this blockade here? Someone put it there. Now, I always assumed originally that the blockade is there to stop the Anacondas getting out.
That's what people make it, but it's just going to go over the top of it.
Yeah, like obviously that's the Anaconda could just go over it, but I'm presuming like the other way you see like the totem poles and stuff within the building of it.
Yeah, it looks like it's set there as
like a magic warding place, like that they keep them locked in.
To me, what I think it is because obviously they say they worship them.
Yeah,
I think it's the nesting place. So anything over the back of that is where you're most likely to find them nesting.
Yeah, possibly.
And obviously, you see that now when they blow it to smithereens.
Yeah, they blow it. I like this because like they're like, right, we'll get in and we'll blow it up, right? And Cerrone's like, yeah, I've got dynamite. Don't worry, it's fine. And he blows it up, and it just rains down snakes everywhere. And he's just kind of throwing them off. He's like, yeah, go on, back to your mother. They're all babies, and then you see some of the size of them, and they're like, this one ain't a baby, and it's like on Westridge's finger, and he's like, get it off.
Yeah, and he's like, nah.
But you see even the damage that small one does, like it obviously cuts up his finger quite badly. Like
obviously I've been bitten by snakes before. Haven't used to have them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like obviously not as poisonous.
No, well, I used to have different constrictors, like which Anaconda is, but like they tear you to shreds.
Oh yeah,
like it's 24 to 34 hypodermic needles tearing into your skin.
Yeah, they're not fun, I wouldn't say, but
no. But I love, there's one line there where they're walking through, and it brings back that camera where it starts to move as if the snake's coming.
Yeah.
And Cerrone pulls Danny out, and he's like, there's something down there. And he's like, I know.
And he's like,
I'm not joking.
He's like, no, neither am I. He knows. Now, this is probably where there's a little bit of an issue with this film, is because it's after they blow this blockade that they go through, and they find Trejo's boat. So how did his boat get through if there's this big blockade there?
I think he's gone up and around. He's on his way back, I think. But when you see Trejo the first time, it's like he's in the middle of the water.
Yeah, exactly. And then his boat kind of gets pushed off to the side.
Unless they move his boat.
See, well, I don't know. Like, he seems to be on his own when this all happens. So
not them, but like in general, if the boat gets moved.
Yeah, well, I mean, the water would just move it if there's no one guiding it and it's not tied down, I suppose. But we see that, like, it's over on the side, and Sarone's like, there could be fuel on that. Now, the reason they need fuel is because after his little blowing up the boat, or blowing up this blockade, like when the snakes landed, it kind of like someone fell into the drums of fuel and knocked all but one into the water, and they were like, yeah, we only have enough to kind of get there.
I'm not entirely sure why they've been in the water that much now. They might as well just went in and got it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose these are technically going to be quite heavy, so they're going to be at the bottom, and it's just rained snakes on everyone, so you're probably freaking out a bit.
Yeah.
And you're like, let's just get the hell out of this fucking snake pit.
Yeah.
But they continue on through, and like this is when we learn that Mateo is in league with Cerrone, because we see the picture of Cerrone, Trejo, and Mateo all holding a massive snake together.
Man, that thing's a monster, isn't it?
Yeah, but then Paul Cerrone just takes it down and sticks it in his pocket, so nobody knows that it's what he's been up to.
I love that they take the box and they're like, no fuel here.
Yeah, well, it has the stuff he wants, which is like the tranquilizer stuff and the hunting gear. And he's like, nothing here.
Well, nothing here, and he just takes that with him.
Yeah, and him and Danny go off and bring it back to the thing, and they're like, come on, Mateo. And Mateo, like, he slips into the water, and the kill scene in this, like, it's very quick. It's not clean, but I like the way it looks. It's like, you can see how badly animated it is, because like the snake is like, it like pops onto him. But I think it looks all right, considering
Frank Welker done the voice to this, the snake. Like, imagine your job being, how does an anaconda sound?
Yeah,
like the squeals that the anaconda does probably gets this marked down so badly.
Yeah, it does. But like, I suppose they had to do something. You can't just have a snake.
I love this though. Mateo pops up, and it's just there.
Yeah,
like, it's just sitting on the tree branch waiting for him.
It's the way it strikes. It's like, and obviously this is to do with the way it's aged since '97. Like, the striking looks quite poor.
Yeah.
This is clearly like a CGI rather than an animatronic.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, you can clearly see the level that CGI was at back then. Like, it's very obvious when it's.
I'd love to see a good remake of it.
I would, and I think this is a film that you could do a good remake of. Yeah. Like, just completely take this story and you could improve it by like the snake being done better.
That's all you need to do, really.
Yeah. But obviously, like, it kills Mateo, but nobody sees it, and you don't scream from Mateo, because it bites him and constricts him straight away.
I love though, like, even it says obviously early on, it's like when you can't scream.
Yeah, because it constricts you too tight, so like nobody knows what's happened to him.
You see him take the branch with him, and you see the branch break.
Yeah, like, and that's kind of like, there's your bones snapping.
Yeah.
And I like, nobody hears him scream, so Danny is then like, I'm gonna go back. Where is he? I'm gonna go find him. And this is when you're thinking, you're a dead man. You've gone off on your own. Rule number 1 again. Don't fall to that rule.
It also falls into the horror trope of the black guy.
Yeah, the black guy getting killed. Yeah, it was a big horror trope back in the like 80s, 90s. But I
mean, like, I know there are films that done it, but this I'll get into that later on.
But yeah, like he manages to get back anyway, and then they're like, Cerrone, where is he? And he's like, oh, he got killed by a snake. And they're like, there isn't a snake out here big enough. And then he chose out the snake skin, and he's like, this is a snake skin. And they're like, holy shit.
He's like, I have a feeling something made a meal of our dear old Captain Mateo.
Yeah. But like, when he shows them that snake skin, and they're like, that's not real. And he's like, oh yeah, this is what we're hunting. And he's like, I don't want to kill it. I want to capture it.
I love it though. He's like, this is what we're after. And he's like, this snake skin's 3 or 4 years old, so it's bigger now.
Yeah. But
Owen Wilson here is so good as Gary's so good here.
Yeah, he kind of gets lulled in, by all the money.
He's in on it, yeah.
Yeah. I like that we're 40 minutes in, and this is the first time there's like the Anaconda's killed somebody,
And as I said, it's very similar to Jaws.
Yeah, they keep the kills to like now they ramp up from here, but they keep
very
them
quickly.
yeah, like but until then it's building you like as Carl King Woe says like it's suspense and atmosphere
Yeah,
coming in like you're like, oh, it's gonna happen, and then it doesn't, and you're like, oh,
there's a lot of bluffs in this movie.
sorry.
There's a lot of bluffs where they think,
Yeah. Like, oh, it's gonna happen. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh, and like eventually you get to a point where you're like, okay, they're clearly building up to something, and then the first kill, you're like, oh, I actually thought that was going to be a bluff.
Yeah.
But you know, they continue on, and like Gary obviously joins up, and they shoot the monkey to like fish off the back of the boat
they love monkey blood.
Yeah.
No, well, now whatever, they'll eat anything really.
Yeah, I think it's more just, you know, it's something for him to dangle off the edge of the boat.
It's just to look cool.
Yeah, but when it catches him, like when he catches it and he's like winding it in, this is again where it's a bit weird because he catches it, right, and he says to, you know, the guy who has the gun, which is Gary, he's like, go up there and shine the light in its eyes, and that's fair enough. Like that's a grand old tactic, shine the light on it so we know where it is.
Yeah.
And he keeps calling for Westridge, and you're like, what is Westridge going to do? He's like the voiceover guy. What are you planning on this man doing?
He was never going to help him anyway.
I think he would have helped him because he would have been fearing for his life. But like, what did you plan on Westridge doing? Like, what was the plan there? Because he was never in line with this.
Yeah, it's just. I think it's because he's the closest person.
Well, he's not, because he's actually the furthest away, because he's the one that's up where Gary is shining the light, so he has to walk down.
I mean, he's the closest person that's going to help. The other two have already made it very clear.
Yeah, the other three have very much made it clear that they are not interested in this this expedition. But you know, the snake gets away and causes havoc on the boat.
Yeah, it's hilarious. This is again another scene where it's really badly let down.
Yeah, like the tail trashing around, just destroying everything, knocking everyone over, and
it's like, I know snakes control their own tail.
Yeah,
this snake is using it as a weapon.
Yeah, exactly. I do like that. You know, they go with knocking Denise into the water. Like she just kind of gets knocked in.
The snake just picks it up and is like, "Yeah, I'm going here."
The snake is like, "That's what I want. Like, there's the easiest kill. I'm going for that." And then Gary jumps in, kind of redeems himself a little bit here, jumps in and tries to get her out.
He does get her out,
yeah, well, he does get her out, but unfortunately costs him his own life. Now, it looks like they could have saved him here because Terry picks up Jennifer Lopez's character, Terry picks up the gun and she's ready to shoot it. And Cerrone is like, no, capture, not kill.
This was one when they both get out of the water and you're like, holy shit, that was close.
Yeah.
And then the snake comes up and takes him
back out. Yeah. And that's our second kill in like as many minutes, really. It's very quick between this and Mateo's one.
And then you obviously see the snake swimming around under the water, and you can just see Gary inside the snake.
Yeah, and that's
it's very well done, but everything's done far too quickly there.
Yeah, it's a great shot, but yeah, it's very quick that it like devours him down.
It's funny because you can clearly see that it's Owen Wilson as well.
Yeah, the only problem with it is that you don't get a wow out of Owen Wilson. Wow.
While he's in the snake, wow.
Yeah, that's now the noise the snake makes going forward. That would have been good. But you know, like they continue on now, and like at this point, Cerrone has kind of taken over the ship, and he's like, no, like you are all going to listen to me. He's pulled the gun on them and said, like, this isn't fucking up for debate. I'm deciding what we're doing here.
Yeah, he's well into it now at this stage, isn't he?
Yeah. Now he's showed all his cards here. He's like, yeah, this was all kind of my plan, and this is when they eventually trick him, and it's a good plan because you know they send in. They send in Terry and she's like meant to distract them, and then it looks like the idea is for Ice Cube to come in and hit him with the bat, but he's like, I'm too smart for that, but turns his back to the next window, and Westridge just smashes him with the golf club through that
straight in the back of the nut.
but what I like here is that they're clearly like, oh, thank God the plan worked. So that was clearly part of the plan. Like their expectation was that he'd be like, oh no, they're trying to catch me, so I'll catch your man coming in the door. But then he won't suspect a secondary sneak in attack.
I mean, it's plan A, plan B.
Yeah, but then they tie him up, and this is when he does say about the wasp to Terry, and he's
Like, ideally, if they were smart, what they do here is throw him overboard.
I think they kind of know that they need him as well, though. I think that's the unfortunate
I do
part.
think that, yeah. But
Like they're
to
like,
me,
we don't like him, but we probably do need him to survive here.
they don't have enough fuel. Like, to me, they could have turned around and tried to float back down river.
Yeah, they're also, I suppose, they're not all technically murderers. They're probably not comfortable with killing a man, knowing that if they throw him in
Yeah,
here, he's dead.
yeah.
But they tie him up, and Danny ends up kind of crashing the boat here.
Into the sandbank.
Into the sandbank, and they're like, right, well, two of us will get off on this side and tie it around that tree. Westridge, you go to the other tree, and then we'll be able to like tie the boat and be able to pull it out.
Here's your horror trope again. Don't go on your own.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you have two of them go off, which is sort of similar to a horror trope because usually one of them dies. One goes off on his own, and you're left with the other two on the boat. One who's tied up,
And the girlfriend of the boy who was just eaten.
Yeah, and this is where Denise, like, she comes forward with a knife and she's about to kill him, and he's like, I like his little line here, never look into the eyes of someone you're going to kill. Trust me, I know.
And he's staring her down, like.
Yeah, but she looks down because she's like, oh yeah, I'll take his advice. And like, she's kind of half thinking that maybe she won't kill him. And he jumps at this opportunity and just
he levels her.
I don't know. Is it meant to be that he breaks her neck, or does he just choke her to the point? Yeah, I think it's like, he strangles her with his leg and then gets the knife and, he works on freeing himself as the others get back to the boat, except Westridge, who like starts slapping the water to just like get the snake over to him.
I love this though. They don't see anything, and then you obviously see like the snake's S shape coming through the grass, and they're like, "Uh-oh."
Yeah, and like Westridge, he does what he can to save them. He's like slapping the water, so he gets the snake over, and the two of them get back on the boat. But now he has to fucking hightail it.
His plan here is essentially very good. Get out of the water, get high.
Yeah, and he does, and he gets up onto this massive waterfall. And you think, the snake probably can't get up there that easily.
Yeah.
But
they've never seen a B-rated horror movie before.
This is one of the kills that I think actually looks really good because he kind of jumps out to get away from the snake.
It's in fact the worst of the lot of them, though, for me.
Yeah, I think it looks visually good, but it makes no sense.
Yeah, like it's saying 40 feet. That waterfall's a lot bigger than 40 feet.
But he jumps out of the waterfall, and then the snake like plucks him from midair and
wraps him.
Yeah, but it's kind of weird because it kind of pulls him towards itself and pulls itself towards him. It looks terrible. But like, I think in terms of like the idea of it, I think it was a really cool idea for how to kill somebody with the snake.
Yeah,
but like
I'd say that's came off the back of the likes of the snakes you see in South America. They hunt bats off the trees and whatnot. They'll sit outside caves.
And they kind of jump at them, but like it's a little bit different than jumping at it and snapping it in your mouth or like
ripping it back. Yeah,
managing to tie your body around it as well. That was it's a bit much, but like I think it's a smart way that they went.
Definitely the most fun death of the.
Yeah, and this is when like Danny is still in the water and he's kind of like stuck trying to get back across. And then the body of
herself pops up.
Denise pops up, and that kind of shocks both of them. And then they're like, right, let's get over that. Let's get you back on the boat. And then the Anaconda gets Danny.
You thought, oh, you're fucked here.
Yeah, you do. You think this is the end of it, and then obviously fucking Terry gets the gun up, and you're like, okay, she's gonna save him. And then Cerrone frees himself, so a big fucking scrap file fucking breaks out here again.
This is the first time that I remember going, there's more than one snake here.
See, I wasn't sure because Cerrone had got involved. I was like, maybe they're like, maybe it's going to kill Danny here because he's got involved and not let her shoot it again. Like,
yeah, no, I think I remember when I seen it, I was like, no, there's more than one because it's literally just killed Westridge.
Yeah, true.
And now all of a sudden it's right here. Now it's not that far.
Yeah, it's not that far. Like it clearly moves quickly through water. Like,
yeah, but I don't know. I was just like, maybe there is. I could have been wrong.
Yeah, you could have been, but like, yeah, sometimes you just get a feeling when you watch these things that you do. But I like this, it looks like they're not going to be able to kill it and it's going to kill Danny. And then Kale manages to come out with the tranquilizer and just jab it into the back of Cerrone. And I love that Cerrone just kind of turns, like, when it happens, he's like, the syringe.
And he just pokes him back in the neck.
Yeah, and then this is when they push him into the water, and there's probably a problem here. Like, I was like, okay, where are they going to go from here? Because the snake's clearly going to kill him now. But then, yeah, but the dart comes out of his neck, and that snake is gone because she puts a fucking load of bullets into its head.
Yeah, its head explodes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I really hope, because I was like, either this is the end of the film, or they're going to like keep this snake alive somehow. And I was like, they better not keep this snake alive after that.
That's what I would have preferred, to just end it here.
Yeah,
everything after this just
it gets a bit messy from here on in. Yeah,
the only way they could have done it was just have John Voight come back and let it be that.
Yeah, but the thing is, Kale is meant to have been like on death's door, and they needed to get him to a hospital to survive.
I don't know if it was that though. I think they were just.
Well, that's what Cerrone said to them. Like, he was like, if you don't get him to hospital, he's going to die.
No, but that's why I think they were playing that to get them to do what he wanted.
Yeah, possibly, but like, he seems to be okay to do the jabbing in the neck, but then he passes back out again, and he's back into the bed again. I think
that's also to do with him grabbing him by the neck.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. It's a bit of a strange one, because like, what alerted him to the fact that he could get up, and how did he know about the tranquilizer? Because he's out cold while all of that tranquilizer is happening.
He has no idea that there's 3 dead.
Yeah, like, he knows nothing about what's been going on. So it's a bit of a weird one, but
Yeah, I know she's been in talking to him as well. So whether they show it and don't show it that she told him.
Yeah, maybe while he's unconscious he hears it, but they continue on down anyway. And what I like here is that the story that they get told earlier is that you go past the river, and then you have to battle like another snake.
Yeah, and then the urban legend, yeah.
Yeah, and once you battle that final snake and beat it, then you get to meet the tribe. So I like that was kind of the story from the start.
Yeah, they tell you point blank at the start what's gonna happen.
Yeah, so like, they get past the waterfall, and then they find this time they find a big warehouse.
It looks like a shipping yard.
It does, yeah. And originally I was like, is this going to be the tribe?
Imagine.
I was like, is this where the tribe is meant to be? Like, and not that it was a warehouse, but like, this is where they lived, and then Cerrone and them came in, killed all of them off, and turned it into like this shipping yard.
It could be. That would have been a very good story to run it.
That's what I thought they were going to, but then obviously they just go with the idea of, they go in there, they're like, right, we need to get fuel, so let's just check in there. And thankfully there's fuel in here, so it all looks good.
It's all empty. No, wait, no.
No, there's fuel in here, but then Cerrone comes out and just clocks them in the back of the heads.
Yeah, I love that. You just see him for a second, he just smashes them.
Yeah, and then they wake up, they're tied up together, and he throws a load of
monkey blood
all over them. And like, obviously they're now bait for a bigger snake.
Yeah, and then you see it.
Yeah, this one is bigger. It's way bigger than the first one.
This is the one I think that gets them on the waterfall.
Possibly, yeah.
Because the other one that has Danny looks like a normal size snake to an extent. Like, big, but not. This thing was huge that took him off the waterfall.
Yeah, it was a big old deal. Now, this one comes in and it's clearly like a different color. It's a more red color. So it is obviously, more evil.
Face, yeah. Well, that is the general color of a green anaconda. It has like the red trim on the face.
Oh yeah, but like, the first one didn't have this. This is done to make you distinct. Like, this is a different one to the one they killed. Yeah. And like, they managed to kind of free themselves from being tied up, because it starts chasing them, and then it's chasing Paul, and then it's chasing them again.
It's a game of all. Who's gonna catch who?
Yeah, it eventually does catch Cerrone. And
yeah, because they do him with the net.
Yeah, they catch him with the net, and it kills him pretty brutally.
You can see it there behind you.
Yeah, like crushing his neck and his his whole body in.
you can't. One of the worst scenes here, like not as in bad, but like where you see him crushing him and his jaw pops out of place, his cheek,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh Jesus.
But
Now, how quick it swallows him. The swallowing scene here is terrible.
I like the idea of the scene. It's too quick, but I like the idea that they did it from
the
inside
inside,
the inside of the mouth. I thought that was a really good bit of like,
yeah, you don't see many things like that.
yeah, it's like that's a good, interesting way to do it. Now they obviously, I'd say that costs a lot because they only do a second of it.
Yeah, and then they done the Jurassic Park kind of way where you see them, it pops up and it just starts swallowing them down. Like,
Yeah, and
actually, do you know what's a better way? It's more like the bug in Men in Black when it swallows Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting, like that. You see how it like freaks out the other two. They're like, holy shit, this thing like can actually eat an entire human without like.
I mean, they've seen it kill 3 people.
Yeah, but they've seen it kill, but they haven't seen it actually like devour.
Actually, the one thing I meant to say is, do you remember when Owen Wilson gets killed?
Yeah.
The snake breaks his neck.
Yeah.
That was terrible. That was awful.
No, they just had to make a scene of it, didn't they?
But like that, I meant to say that when it came up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you see, this scene here is very well done, though.
Yeah, I think this is probably the best kill. This or Mateo, maybe.
Actually, I love just even when he's talking to them when they're tied up, and he gives them the spiel where he's like, "How tight you squeeze your lover. This will squeeze you tighter, and it'll turn your bones to dust." And he picks up like the dust off the ground. He's like, "This was bones at one stage."
Yeah, like, and he's clearly been hunting this snake for quite some time. Like he's
this is the machine.
Yeah, but like this is like it's killed him, and now Danny and Terry are both like trying to escape, and she climbs up this like chimney, I suppose, really is what it is.
The smokestack, yeah.
Yeah, and Danny's like, I'll pour all the fuel, well, like not all the fuel, but loads of the fuel down here, and I'll be able to blow it up. And he's like, can you get out the top? She's like, yeah, I can. And then
this is so stupid because she says, hasn't got near the top.
Yeah.
You can clearly see there's a cage on the top.
And then she's
there's a cage on the top.
Yeah, you're like, I could have told you that from the bottom here, mate. I could see that there was a cage up there.
Yeah, and then she's like, how do I open it? Hit the sides of it.
Yeah, now it eventually does work, and he manages. I do like the scene where he like gets the pickaxe and puts it through like the middle of the tail.
Yeah,
and that kind of stops it going further. I think that was like a smart way of doing it.
But when he gets the little clamp and he puts the clamp on it and it just stops it, and you're like, what?
Yeah. I get what they're going for though, because if you don't, like the snake, like she's in this little narrow.
Yeah, especially how quick it's wrapped itself around going up after, like.
Yeah, like she's dead if he doesn't somehow manage to stop it moving forward.
I mean, I was cheering for the snake at this stage.
Yeah. But like, they managed to blow it up just as she gets out. And he's like, you have to jump. And she says no. And then eventually that option is taken away from
her. I'm lighting it. Fuck it.
Well, he says he's already lit it because he lights it when she says, yeah, I can get out. And he's like, okay, good. And lights it. She's like, don't light it. And he's like, I already lit it. Like, what are you talking about? There's no putting this
Hold on, let me whip it out there now. Wee it out.
Yeah. But I like this, it blows up and then, you kind of see the fire snake slithering. And I was like, oh, they're not going to have the snake survive this, are they? Like, just, that should have been the end of it.
And then, like, when you see it hit the water, you hear going,
yeah. And it's still alive, and Danny goes to walk off to get the fuel, and it comes back up. I do like that he gets to be the one to kill it, though.
Yeah, I do. He's the one that deserves to kill it.
Like, most of the times these type of films are like, it's the final girl.
Survives.
Yeah, like the final girl gets to be the one to kill it. And like, usually it'd be like Danny would sacrifice himself to make the snake go after him, and then she gets to kill it.
This was the point that I was going to say earlier, but I didn't want to jump to the end of it. Like the usual horror trope of black guy dying.
Yeah.
Anaconda actually, the whole film franchise changes that narrative.
Yeah.
And there's not many movies that I can think of where you say, oh, the black guy survived.
Yeah. And like they do it very well. Like, because at no point do you feel like it's, forced. Over. Yeah, like it's not like forced that like, oh, they had to keep him alive. Because they've killed Danny Trejo like in seconds, so it's not like they care about killing off Ice Cube either.
I would have preferred to see one of the two of them go, but I did like that two of them survived.
Well, I would have said technically.
Yeah, well, I would have known. That's what I mean. I would have liked to have seen two survive.
Yeah, rather than 3.
Now, whether it could have been a story where the snake got onto the boat and took him,
Yeah, could have been
which
something
could
like
have
that.
worked.
But like, I do like that, like it's normally the horror trope is that, the villain comes back as when they think it's all safe, then somebody sacrifices themselves for the other person. I like that that's not what happened here. It was just like, nope, I'm just going to drive this pickaxe into that thing's head until it stops moving.
I love how he swings it 3 times and misses twice and then just plants it right in the middle.
Yeah. And then, they get back to the boat, and as they're sailing along, then they get to see the tribe, the Shirashima tribe.
Shaman.
But
Yeah.
I like at the end that Kale, when he's sitting there, goes, Sarone didn't lie.
He's just lost 5 people and surround himself.
Yeah, and I like that, Danny's like, I'll go get the camera. So
yeah,
it's a good end to the film. Like, I can see why it's not very well rated, but I do like, I still enjoy it. It's not brilliant,
movies like this never will be, though, will they?
No, as you said, it's a low B rated horror, maybe C rated.
It was made. The problem is, though, it's rated that low. It was made as an A rated.
That's the issue. Yeah, it ends up being a high C, low B. Yeah. And it should be better. I would like to see this one. I know Carl King is going to hate this, but I do think I would like to see this remade.
Me too. Well, what they can do now.
Yeah.
But the problem is they've butchered this franchise beyond repair.
They have, and which is why maybe don't remake, but reboot this, completely reboot it.
Yeah, like, to me, this and 2 are the only watchable ones. And 2 isn't even that good.
I mean, this isn't even that good either, like the franchise.
This one holds a lot of nostalgia.
Yeah, it doesn't start strong, and it gets even worse as it goes along.
Like, the Hoff dies in 3 and 4.
Yeah. Keeps coming back.
Actually, he might be in 5 as well.
Can't kill
him. And then they've done, obviously, Anaconda versus Lake Placid.
Jesus.
Yeah, like, they've butchered them to bits.
Yeah.
Like, 2, I really enjoyed the premise that they did with 2.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the flower that keeps everything alive, which was a good little story to do. You know what I mean? And obviously, the snakes eat the meat that's eating the flowers. Very well worked.
Yeah, it's a smart story, but the problem is that they didn't really know where to go with the story. Like, even this one, it has a good story to it. It's just there's something off about it the whole way through.
Yeah,
as I said, Lopez I don't think is great in it.
Ice Cube is probably the best thing. No, like John, like when
Sarone is the best thing in this.
When we say that Ice Cube, that J-Lo is the worst thing about this movie. And that's saying a lot, because Paul Serrane's accent in this is terrible.
His accent isn't great, but his acting is brilliant.
Yeah, well, he's a great actor anyway.
But like, he plays the part of, grizzled vet, but also maniacal genius very well.
Yeah. And even then, like, when the snake spits him up and he gives him the wink.
I do like that, because it means he's not dead.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be dead, essentially, you know what I mean?
Well, it's like, you kind of assume he is, because it's like crushed his body up quite badly.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, again, the inaccuracies there. Like, the snake won't go till your heart stops.
Yeah, exactly.
You know so he's still alive.
Which means he's technically still alive when they left.
Oh, he's long dead at that stage, I'd say.
No, well, the snake just left him,
Yeah, but the whole thing blew up.
I don't know if the whole compound doesn't blow up, because they go back into it to get the fuel. So they just left him there.
Yeah, he did.
He's dead now, but like, they left him there to die. Not that he didn't. Yeah, like, he deserved it. Like, I'm not saying he didn't, but they left a man to suffer. They didn't just put him out of his misery.
I have a lot of love for this movie. Obviously, the love that I have for snakes kind of sparked me off with this, and then like the likes of King Cobra and things that came out. I watch a lot of them. It's the same way, obviously, our previous guest, Ray, he has things for dragon movies.
Yeah, he loves them.
I do love an old creature feature, especially when it involves snakes. I'm like, yeah.
I like creature features. I think they can do very well. I think the problem is that there's normally one big hitter.
There's not very many good ones.
Yeah, like Jaws is obviously a huge shark one.
Jaws is the big
and then, but like it's the big shark one, and then there's a few half decent shark ones, and then fucking millions of shit ones.
I don't even think there's a few half decent. Deep Blue Sea is one. Everyone will say the Meg now, but I thought that was fucking terrible.
I didn't end up watching that because you said it was quite poor. But I think that there's, like, when I say half decent, I mean, I do mean half decent. Like,
actually, do you know what was a decent shark one? Actually, Open Water.
Yeah, but like, there's some that are just absolutely god awful, which is pretty much the rest of the Jaws as bar the original.
Two isn't the worst.
Two would be in the half decent pile, and then it gets the rest go into the.
And then you have Michael Caine in Jaws 57.
Yeah, like it kind of it's that sort of thing. Like a lot of them are like that, and then a lot of other creature features, you'll get one or two good ones and a load of shit ones.
Yeah, it's, as I said, it's very hard to do. Like, even when you look at the likes of Spider ones, Arachnophobia was very good.
Yeah.
Right, and Eight-Legged Freaks is the other big one, and that's not good.
No.
Like, it's enjoyable. It's a good comedy, but it's not a good film.
Yeah, it's a comedy. It's not a horror.
Yeah. Like, obviously, then you'd say Deep Blue Sea 1 was good. 2 and 3 were poison. Like, there's loads.
There's loads of other ones, and they're not, like, a lot of them aren't great. But
actually, Lake Placid is another big hitter. Lake Placid is actually better than Anaconda, I think, in terms of a film.
Yeah, probably overall it probably is.
But that franchise goes to absolute shite as well.
Yeah, well, they all do. But we won't give away what we're doing for next week. So we'll be back with another creature feature next week. But until then, good luck.